There's indifference on the wind, but a faint gust of hope at a club nobody goes to, with a musty velvet rope, guys in motorhead jackets who knew him way back when. Haven't raised a drink in years, but now meet up again to remember how it was when they all thought they'd move away. Riding Lotus 7s through the London streets one day. Nobody ever gets away. Even the best of us come back someday. To the unmarked rooms where the dry dust breathes. Andrew Eldritch is moving back to Leeds. There's a rusted fog machine in a concrete storage space. Letter number combinations with no meaning on its face. They won't make these anymore. It's a wooden coach and four. No one will even steal it if you leave it by the door. With no sign the market's going, no tombstone for its grave. There will be goodbyes by dozens, so practice being brave. No one anticipates the rush. The breezy feeling of the face is crushed. At the ends of things where the salvage bleeds, Andrew Eldritch is moving back to Leeds. They don't throw him off parade. He just comes in on a train. One suitcase in his hand and an old army backpack from the Second World War, from a Leipzig second-hand store. Pick the keys up from the agent. Everything's been taken care of. No big changes on the roadways since you left that I'm aware of. A few old buildings gone to dust, some new ones in the way. They'll look just like the old ones when the winds have had their say. See the children bound for London, you'll all be back too. Everybody tests the membrane, but no one pushes through. Come on boys, that'll be enough. You'd think your old friends wouldn't play so tough. Like a basket by the Nile, hiding down among the reeds. Andrew Eldritch is moving back to Leeds. Hi, we're the Mountain Goats. This one, Transcendental Youth, is called Cry for Judas. Shall we?
Yes.
2, 3. Oh, that was the wrong count. Some things you do just to see how bad they'll make you feel. Sometimes you try to freeze time as though the slots were a blur of spinning reels. But I am just a broken machine, and I do things that don't really mean long black night, morning from I'm still here, but always lost. or 3 times, and then they learn from their mistakes. But we are the ones who don't slow down at all, and there's nobody there to catch us when we fall. The long black night, morning frost. I'm still here, but all is lost. Feel the storm every blessed night, hope it passes by. Hallucinate a shady grove where Judas went to die. Unfurl the black velvet altar cloth, draw a white chalk back of it. Mistreat your altar boys long enough, and this is what you get. Sad and angry, can't learn how to behave. Still won't know how in the warm arms of the grave. Long black night, morning frost. I'm still here, I am still here, but all is lost.
Welcome to the New York Times. We are live with the Mountain Goats, John Darnielle, Matt Douglas. Goths is out now. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
This is amazing.
I'm Andrew Chow. I'm going to be taking your audience questions, so please fire
Oh my
away.
God, I didn't realize it was you. I read you, but I hadn't, it's like you're a byline. And so,
Oh, that's so nice.
hey,
Thank you.
good to meet you. Wow.
Nice to meet you. First question is, Goths was created mostly on piano and Fender. How is it playing it on guitar? Do the songs come out totally differently?
So most of them don't get played on guitar. Rain in Soho does, and Andrew Eldritch does, but the first verse and chorus were written on an acoustic guitar. That was the beginning of the writing that I wrote. The first verse and chorus on the guitar, and it was a sort of Johnny Cash feel, right? Mm-hmm. And I liked it fine, but then when I went to go finish it, I mean, the mundane truth is I had a 2-year-old who, if I brought out the guitar, then he would want to hear his songs, right, that I play for him. So, like, you've got to have a mouse in your life, and Drag and Squeeze, right, the songs that I write for him. But if I sat on the piano, he was so entranced by the recording software and by the metronome and the beats that he could just play up in the treble and I could still get some work done. Whereas I could not really work with the guitar when my son was 2.5, 3. So I started working on I said, well, that was an interesting song. What if I just moved over here? And to get the little, I started doing a sort of kinksy, Beatlesy, do-do-do-do-do-do, and I would say, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I can do more stuff on piano than I can on guitar. I can do different articulations of the chords that I don't really know how to do here except bars and fingerings. And I liked it. And then being me, I went, well, what if you did all the songs like that? And so I just wrote the rest of the album at the keyboard.
And does your son like you better as a pianist or a guitarist?
He likes the guitar because he has a lot of really strong associations with the songs that, he's really, we do Rag Mop and we do Charlie Brown, by the Coasters and all kinds of stuff. But I think he would probably say they're different.
Right.
The guitar is kind of for partying and the keyboard is more for having fun with. So the partying and having fun, diametric opposites.
Yep.
Okay, we got one from a reader. There's Julian. Can you tell us more about your podcast with Joseph Fink?
Oh, yeah. It's Joseph from Night Vale is doing a thing called I Only Listen to the Mountain Goats, and where he's going to, every episode is going to have somebody cover a Mountain Goats song, and then I will be on talking about the writing of the song and some of the stuff that, that I associate with the song, whether it's what the song is about or talking about how it grows live. There's a lot to say about every song that you sort of don't really get a chance to say because not everybody wants to hear a 10-minute song intro every song, right? So there's always more to say. Songs grow. They're sort of they're not fixed once you release them. And so it's going to be a podcast that Joseph and I are doing about the Mountain Goats, which is weird for me because I do not spend a lot of time talking about the Mountain Goats, but it will be fun.
Awesome. Now, you just did a really fun Star Wars song.
Yes.
Zach wants to know if you'd ever do a Bond theme.
A Bond theme.
It's the thing is, like, I did the Star Wars thing just as a goof for Ryan, who's directing Star Wars, which is crazy to say, right? I know Ryan is a Mountain Goats fan from way back, and he's grown into the guy who directed the single greatest hour of American television that ever aired, the Ozymandias episode of Breaking Bad. It is an honor to know him. And we were just guess who's directed the Star Wars? The guy who directed the Mountain Goats video in his own apartment. Right? So, but Bond, I don't have many associations with Bond, except I always liked Jaws. I can see myself writing a song about the Jaws guy.
I believe that Goths is number 16, album number 16. Do you know?
Is that right? I don't know. I don't keep track.
Jeremy asked, what do you think is your best work?
It's always the new one is the thing, because that's what I'm closest to. And that's that's not to sell records. That's because that's the new stuff. It's the stuff that you just are starting to feel out. It's only been toured a little bit, and so it's all the most exciting. But I mean, the thing is, The Sunset Tree is the album that I was put on this earth to make. You know, I don't really think in terms of destiny like that, but it is the one that will be mentioned in my obituary, and that's totally fine with me, because that was sort of the one where I cracked open a way of approaching what I do, and it was a big growth point. So there's that one, and I'm super fond of Trying to Sell Youth. It's also a pretty close to the bone record.
Absolutely. From Alex Levin, do you have another novel in the works? I know.
I cannot talk about work in progress because I'm superstitious about it, but I will tell you that I am always working.
Stacy Miller, how did Peter come to write and sing the bridge of Shelved? Did it happen organically, or did you ask him to?
I asked him to do it because I wasn't sure where to go with the song after the second thing, and I had the thing where it modulates to the major key, right? And I liked that. And I feel like at that point, Peter had already heard enough of the stuff. Peter said about this record when it was rising, it's as if you were specifically writing a record that I would be into working on. You know, it's like, and so I thought it'd be a cool thing, and I'm always trying to do something new, you know, and it's not something radically giant and new, like suddenly playing fusion or something, you know. But I thought, well, that would be really cool. And plus, Peter's a good songwriter. Peter tells really good stories. He's a great storyteller. And I thought, and that plot line reminded me sort of exactly the axis of where the way he writes songs, the way I write songs, sort of meet in these character studies of people's motivations and their growth and the stuff they can't quite get past, you know, shared concerns. So I thought it would be fun, you know, and it really, doing that one live is just such a blast.
Yeah. Now, you just played Andrew Eldritch is Going Back to Leeds.
Yes.
I love that one. And on the record, you name check Trent Reznor, like Robert Smith.
What's up, Trent?
Have you heard from any of these guys after the record came out? Like,
no.
Or any goth heads, any members of the...
Not a one. Andrew Eldritch has been markedly silent since the track premiered. Robert Smith, of course, does not return my calls. Nobody has. Although the thing is, the Whitby Goth Weekend, which is a thing they do in England, noticed and tweeted, and it made me feel really happy.
Andrew actually said in an interview that he said this last year that if Trump won, then Sisters of Mercy would make a new album.
We'll see about that, but that would be pretty awesome. If you're looking, you know, we don't do a lot of support tours, but Andy, you know who to look up if you need. You boys, the Mountain Goats, really set the table for you there.
That'd be amazing. This is from Micah. For Matt, what's your favorite Mountain Goats album?
Oh, man. Well, Transcendental Youth was the first record that I really, listened to front to back. And I mean, that might have been just sort of because the first record I worked on was Beat the Champ, and that was the one before the new ones, and so that's where I started, and then I just kind of went back from there. But I think I have a special place for Transcendental Youth because of that.
Cool. Justin asks, why are there so many references to Utah?
Are there that many? I know. Let me see what we got. There's the Mess Inside has Utah. And for one thing, if you are a guy who likes the sound of words, you gotta like Utah, right? Like, this is a great. Who doesn't like saying Utah? I question the values of a person who doesn't enjoy saying Utah. So I mean, that's probably why. You know, but also the West is just mythical, right? And Utah is like that sort of, you know, you think you know it, and then you drive through it, and it feels so amazing. Also, it's a state with not a cult, but an alternate religion. People who established a place there to practice their religion, and so I'm very into that kind of thing. It's like, if they'd stayed in Missouri, if they hadn't been hounded out of Missouri, I'd probably be just as fascinated by Missouri.
From Hannah, your songs are the perfect balance of joyous and heartbreaking. How do you strike that balance?
I mean, it's not something I think about. It's like that's the part that I can say is like I usually like to focus on craft, but with that, like I don't say, well, here's where I got my 40% heartbreaking, let me get my 60% joy. It's just that's the part that is genuine self-expression. It's like if that's what you hear, that's what's coming out of me that I can't really take credit for. It's just that's how I'm built. So it's like that's who I am. So.
Now, one of my favorite songs on the record is Abandoned Flesh, about goth bands.
Oh, thank you.
Going into aging, facing no longer being a draw.
Yeah.
Is that a fear of the mountain you have about the mountain goats as well? Obviously, you guys are doing great. But
I mean, the thing is, it's something you try not to think about. You write a song like that, and you go, well, there's no way somebody isn't going to go, interesting that a guy in a band is thinking about bands who cease to be pertinent. Right? But the thing is, the Mountain Goats have always been, I'm very ambitious aesthetically. I want to be writing better songs and growing as a songwriter, but I have never focused at all on building the brand or getting bigger is never something I'm thinking about, because this is like, it's hard to say this stuff like that. I'm blessed if anybody shows up, right? My voice is such a take it or leave it proposition, my band is great. I'm surround myself with really great players, but what I do is like either you are on board or you're not. So yeah, it's like no, I don't worry about that, because the other thing is like I write books now too. So, but yeah, I don't. It's not something I really worry about, because I don't think you can. I guess this is not really true for everybody, but for me, if I'm thinking about whether something is going to go over or not, or be successful or not, then I wouldn't feel right about the writing. When I'm writing, I'm really only writing for one imaginary person in front of me. That's the only people I'm ever thinking about.
Absolutely. From Kyle, how is it retooling old songs with the whole band? Is it joyful or frustrating?
Oh, it's fun. It's a lot of them. I gotta say, sometimes way back in the day, people from bigger labels would pitch me an idea. I was a really cantankerous indie guy in the 90s, right? And they'd say, hey, I'm going to imitate major label guy from the 90s now. I was like,
go for it.
Hey, I really, thought that was a great show. I'd be like, yeah, no, all 50 people there were super into it. So no, I thought it was a really great show. I think what you do is really valid. And you go, valid was wrong with you. So, and they would say, but don't you feel like some of these songs, they're not reaching as many people as might enjoy them. If you would like record them in a proper studio, and I just get my shoulders would start to rise. So, I was thinking, like that one, it would always be like going to Georgia or whatever. They'd say, what if you went into a studio and I would go, and redo a song that I've already done a version of that I like and that other people like, right? Think, oh, well, no, but just say it's not reaching as many people. And that was, that back then I was like, no, the song sounds how it sounds. But now, playing with other musicians on stage, I can kind of see a little major label dude's point. I'm not ever going to do a re-recordings of old songs record, but because I think it's disgraceful. But when we do it live, it's fun because it stretches and you find more stuff in the song. And for me, it helps me connect to the lyric better, because sometimes if I'm playing a song from way back, it's hard to, John Berryman writes about this. You read your older stuff and you say, wow, well, there's a young man who I know, but it's not me.
Yeah.
And trying to re-inhabit that in a way that feels real to me and to the audience can be difficult. But we did Maze Stalk Drinking Blood a couple tours ago, really took that some places. What are some other old ones? Slow West Vultures really goes some cool places now.
Cool.
So, yeah.
We got time for one or two more, and then
Sure.
we'll let you get back to playing. For this from Hillary Weiss, is there a new best ever death metal band in Denton these days?
I'm listening to the Ingurgitating Oblivion album. They're from Germany, I think, and in Mizarthim. But that band would not be a band you would actually have ever heard of, because they would only have made one demo. So.
I just scrolled past a good question. All right, we'll take one from Taylor. He says, who is your favorite wrestler as a kid, and do you have any more wrestling theme songs coming in the future?
Chavo Guerrero was my favorite wrestler as a child. Sasha Grey, not Sasha Grey, it was Sasha Banks. I still owe you a song. Right now, I like the Moravian Boar, or Moldavian Boar, what's his name? And Devastation Corporation, is Shikara wrestlers, Missile Assault Ant, all those guys. I don't really follow the big game anymore.
Cool. one more, actually. It's from Simon Di Carvalho. Your writing has always been very story-driven. How has writing books informed your songwriting?
I don't really think it has. I mean, for one thing, I have a lot more practice in writing songs, So, when I write a song, I go directly into a discipline I've been practicing for over 20 years now. Mm-hmm. When I'm writing a book, it's such a giant thing to do that you really, I mean, it's sort of like, it's like, what was it, Red Dead Redemption, the Red Dead Revolver follow-up that was like the biggest, most immersive exploratory environment that you could like never finish the game. A lot of them, or Majora's Mask was this way too. That there was so much to look at. Uh-huh. You didn't necessarily wind up playing the game. Too many side quests, too much stuff. A book is like that. It's very hard to decide what all to tell because a book doesn't really guide you along a single storyline the way that a song does.
Thank you so much, John. You have one more song you want to play for us?
Sure. Let's. Matt's never heard this song, so I don't know this song. But other bands are not really like into like actually just doing stuff. We're just cooler than they are.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. This is a song for my friend Roz, who is no longer with us. If you get there before me, would you save me a seat? If you get there before me, would you save me a seat? And if I never get there at all, would you leave the seat empty? If you get there before me, would you light us a fire? If you get there before me, would you light us a fire? And if I never show, you can watch the embers glow. You can keep the fire burning. This is a song for you. In case I never make it through to where you are. This is a song for you. In case I never make it through to where you are.